Hey everyone, welcome to the 8th episode of Genre Equality. I'm Hitzer.
I'm Hadi.
I'm Isa.
We got lots to talk about this week. We have 3 big live action movies and TV shows to talk about. The Expanse, The Handmaid's Tale, and of course Ant-Man The Wasp. But predominantly this episode, unusually, will actually be heavy on animation. We have the return of Isa's Anime Corner, which we jammed back this week. Quick Hits is mostly animation too, because we'll be talking about Steven Universe, Trollhunters, Voltron, etc. etc. So we are just large children here. Let's begin with the quote-unquote biggest title that we're talking about. But actually, it's the smallest, pun intended. Because there isn't much substance to this particular movie, although it is pretty hyped considering it is an MCU movie. Let's talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp first. This is the sequel to Peyton Reed's surprisingly successful first movie, and it's the first movie post Infinity War. Although it takes place slightly before Infinity War, but after Civil War. What do you guys think of Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Okay, there's a definite change of tone right after Avengers.
Right.
It's a lot lighter, a lot more chill. It was easier to process,
for sure,
and it was enjoyable. That's for me, lah.
Definitely very fun. I think again, like I already mentioned, a very very needed change of tone and pace. After the kind of like severity that was Infinity War, it was fun. But I mean, like at the end of the day, I don't think any of us were expecting that much from the movie itself.
Sure, yeah.
Right? But I did have a lot of fun. I think like a lot of sequences were very inventive and very great.
Well thought of.
It was a great chase sequence. And I really enjoyed that.
The big and small dynamics lah.
Which we saw in the Flash before.
It was actually more of Legends because of that.
Legends, sorry.
He's been in both shows, so you're right.
And other than that, I mean, like, I don't really have much to say. The science of it is still a bit finicky, and of course, they do touch on like some things that encroaches upon the magic of the MCU. But we'll get into that a bit later.
Sure, I think the sequel is satisfyingly small scale, as it should be. It's like this dessert that goes by on like likability. It's playful, it's funny, it's enjoyable all the way through. And it's a nice palate cleanser after that entree that was Infinity War. This felt to me like that swimming episode of My Hero Academia after the heaviness of like Hero Killer Stain and everything.
Like we need a break.
we need a break lah. My only takeaway from Ant-Man and the Wasp is that I think this is the first movie where a female character actually takes center stage. One of the 2 co-leads, shall we say. In fact, it feels more like the Wasp and Ant-Man at some portions of the movie. Because she feels like the more developed character and the more skillful of the heroes. Whereas Paul Rudd was a bit more bumbling. As he should be, because he's funny, right? And my only other takeaway is that I just want to see an entire drunk history version of MCU as told by Michael Pena. Because his entire gimmick is drunk history, right?
Exactly.
Well, kind of,
so I just want to see like an entire recap of MCU right before Infinity War
by Michael Pena.
By Michael Pena. Just do all that. I guess we should probably dive into a bit of spoiler territory to talk about a doozy of a post-credit scene, which is
that's the one I want to talk about.
Honestly, like the best part of the movie. Before we go ahead, I do also want to say that Hollywood continues to waste like one of my favorite actors, Walton Goggins, in terrible villain roles. We've seen him in Tomb Raider prior to this, and now he's just a generic gangster villain. Once again, if you haven't seen him on The Shield or Justified, you know that he's a very talented villain. Tons of charisma. It's just been given
draw and that swag.
Correct, he's just been given very, very thin roles to play in his Hollywood movies.
Very generic roles.
I hope he goes back to TV and where he can shine.
I agree. And give like 12 episodes so you can just see Goggins being a moron. Being a very suave moron.
And we're gonna delve into spoiler territory now, so I'm gonna give a little countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Woo!
So the post-credit sequence for Ant-Man and the Wasp features Ant-Man going back into the quantum realm. Trying to find quantum healing particles, whatever that is, for the villain Ghost, who I actually liked. I enjoyed her character. Continuing a trend of very sympathetic villains for the MCU. Because in the end, she was just...
she's not really the villain.
She was just an antagonist with different goals. She wanted to stay alive. And Hope and the rest wanted to save the mother. So both were sympathetic characters, so that's great. I actually enjoyed her performance, and the characterization of that particular antagonist. But as he was going back into the quantum realm,
back in Wakanda. Because
they're
fighting in Wakanda.
This is the exact same moment the fight in Wakanda happens, the snap happens, and then Hope and Hank Pym were departed basically. Ashed. So Ant-Man is stuck in the quantum realm. He has no way to get back. Michael Douglas conveniently says that there are time vortexes in the quantum realm, meaning to imply that it will be Ant-Man who's the one who'll be going back in time, or back and forth in time to kind of change the outcome of Infinity War. What do you guys think is the future for MCU based on this?
Well, that means Ant-Man is going to play some sort of role to change this whole ashing the great ashing.
I mean, I guess it's a neat setup, right? A bit too convenient in my opinion, with both like the fact that there'll be the time travel element.
But I think it might be a red herring also.
It could be. I mean, it could very well be a magic thing, right? Because we do see fragments of the quantum realm that look suspiciously like
the Mirrorverse.
The Mirrorverse, right? Which is of course Doctor Strange territory.
Yeah.
Right, and we saw extensively in his fight with Thanos as well. So it could go either way. I do feel a little uncomfortable with this whole idea of like magic is just science that we can't explain yet, which is obviously one of Thor's favorite famous lines from the original Thor. Why can't they just let magic be magic, you know? Or what is the big push against like the entire idea? Because at the end of the day, we do need Doctor Strange to kind of fix things, right? If the comics are anything to go by.
Apparently they have casted an 18-year-old actress to play an adult version of Cassie, isn't it?
Cassie. The future
Paul Rudd's daughter.
Yes.
The Future Wasp.
Future Wasp. So that will be interesting. That already tells me that I know that Ant-Man will be going back and forth in time. At least to meet his future daughter. So that's interesting. Ant-Man will, I think, obviously prominently feature in Avengers 4 just because, you know, there are very few people left outside of our main Avengers. I think it will be a nice last hurrah for our main crew. It will probably be the last that we see of N or Captain America, Iron Man. Ant-Man is one of those second generation people who will probably be carrying the team forward. What do you think of the movie overall in terms of ratings?
I'll give it a good 7.5 out of 10.
Cool.
It's a definite A for me.
I'll give it a 6.5. I mean, I definitely enjoyed it, but it's a very forgettable movie. In my opinion, like I had a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, like a lot of things were very convenient, and it definitely is a setup movie. You know, I like the change of tone. But other than that, like, quite honestly, that was about it for me.
How about you, Hit?
I'll give it a pass. It's a 6 out of 10 for me as well.
6 out of 10?
I like it.
Why?
The 6 out of 10 is a fresh one.
Okay.
And then? I mean, I liked it. I liked the first Ant-Man a bit more. But this one kind of retains the charm. So, I've never ever failed an MCU movie. This is probably the lowest it will go, a 6 out of 10. Maybe the only thing that is lower than this would be like, you know, Thor Dark World, for example.
That was my 6 out of 10.
That would be maybe like 5.9 or something.
So that's because that gave a 6, that's why I gave this a 7.5.
For
me.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, we all liked it to varying degrees. Just because we gave it a 6 out of 10 or to a 7.5 out of 10 doesn't
but
mean
that's because I'm a Paul Rudd fan,
and Hardy has always been the lenient teacher at Equality.
That's
so
true.
He's very accepting.
I am.
He grades on the curve.
I do.
And to be fair to Hardy, Ant-Man and the Wasp should be graded differently than other movies because he just has different goals.
For sure.
We'll be moving on to another live action TV series this time. We'll be going into the 3rd season of The Expanse, which is just wrapped up, and it remains one of our favorite sci-fi series right now. Have you both caught up on The Expanse?
Yes.
Oh, so this is one of those things that
all three of us
can talk about. What do you think of the 3rd season of The Expanse, Isa?
Ooh, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, where do we even begin? I really love kind of like the series, the growth arc of the series, right? So we start off with like this very, very political space opera, like kind of like hard sci-fi, and then we go into like the more fantastical elements with the proto-molecule and all of that. I think this particular season and kind of examining just where everybody is past the whole Venus incident, right? Or the Eros incident, which ends up on Venus, right? And the revelation of that, coupled together with the mid-season time jump, has been very, very interesting, right? Because there's this entire period of time where the characters have grown without us actually watching how they've done that, and rediscovering that has been quite good. I really, really have enjoyed this season of The Expanse.
What about you, Hadi?
Well, I love the mid-season finale.
Yes.
Right? That was, I think, one of my favorite episodes.
Very thrilling, very exciting.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a very good... one of the few times when I didn't mind a time jump. You know, and then we see a reset. Everybody's like, Naomi's gone to the...
to the Belters.
The
Belters.
Yeah.
And
The Mormon ship.
Yeah, and everybody's heading to the circle.
The Abaddon's Gate.
The Abaddon's Gate. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I like that it takes, that there is some realism in the science, that it takes a long time to get there.
Yeah.
Like, a few episodes out there just traveling towards the gate.
Yes.
It's always been a very hard sci-fi show. They take great pains to make sure the physics and the chemistry and everything
as
is right.
accurate as possible.
Yeah. Of course, there are fantastical
Of course,
elements like the ring, for example.
Yeah.
But that's alien.
But that's
so,
fine.
Yeah.
So but the capabilities of it. So I really like this hard science thing, and I really enjoyed the politics in this season. Between the Belters, the Martians, and the
I've always thought The
Earthers,
Expanse was more than anything a political show.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like a...
It's always been.
Yeah.
With three different classes, so to speak, the
Correct.
Martians, the Earthlings, and
so this
the
season,
Belters.
I really ramped it up,
Yeah.
I would want to say that what's the Indian
Avrasrala. Christian
I
Avrasrala.
cannot pronounce the name.
Shora Agadeshu.
Christian,
Yeah.
Amazing.
Her performance was damn great.
Yeah.
Something about her voice.
That raspiness, right?
Yeah, that raspiness in her voice. She was great. Her chemistry with meeting like James Holden and the rest of the crew, the rest of the Rocinante, and then her meeting
Bobby.
Yeah. All this was what a beautiful circle.
Yeah, it is. It really has been.
And it questioned like everybody's intention. Like the Martians had to reevaluate why are they doing this.
Sure.
And that kind of questions throughout the series was something that everybody had to ask themselves. Why are we in this? Are we three separate entities, or are we one human race
against this alien?
Which was especially true during the last few episodes.
The ring arc.
The ring arc.
Similarly to what you said, besides the Martians questioning themselves, I think towards the end, the Belters also have different factions. Questioning, do we continue the Belter way? Should we unite? Should we be more diplomatic? Or should we continue to be what we are? So it's always this interesting dichotomy between like keeping your heritage and remembering all the atrocities that maybe the Martians and the Earthlings have done to you, but at the same time you have to move past it, right? Somebody has to break that cycle of violence. So that's interesting. I thought
sorry. Yeah, like just continuing that, I felt like that was so concisely put out in just like this very, very small piece of dialogue between Kamina and what's his name? Mustache. Her right hand man. The pirate guy.
Pirate guy.
Yeah, and
let's go with pirate guy for his name.
Yeah, let's go with pirate guy. That really, really small dialogue that they have about uniforms, right? Whether or not we should wear the uniforms, whether or not that's the Belter way, and this entire very concise breakdown of revolutions
and culture
and all that, just by talking about the uniforms, I thought that was great, and I felt like a lot of the very grand political movements within the scope of this season, right, has boiled down to all these very, very small moments of dialogue where they kind of highlight that, And one of the phrases that has resonated with me a lot is, especially for the first half, before the mid-season finale, is do what you have to do. And they keep repeating that, do what you have to do. And you kind of see like this groundswell of political power rested within the people who are in the war, as opposed to the policymakers. I thought that was really, really good.
Outside of that one evil UN guy, there aren't really a lot of easy
evil
villains
people,
in the show. Like even like you said, the pirate guy.
Pirate was
I'm sorry, pirate guy. But yeah, the pirate guy was, I think, like Ghost was an antagonist, but I think he came from a very understandable point of view. In fact, the second that he showed up on the Mormon ship, you thought he was just going to be this mustache swirling, I'm going to take over the ship kind of guy. But he turned out to be a lot more reasonable than I thought he was going to be.
Even though he was working for Anderson Dawes.
Yes, correct.
He saw a bigger picture in this.
Who we actually did not see this season
at all. Like I think they purposely took out Anderson Dawes and they took out Fred Johnson also.
Just to make
just to focus on like the other belters lah.
Correct. But there's the shadow of their philosophy. I thought this season was like it's frequently thrilling lah.
It was,
and had really really good pacing. I thought like when the Expanse reaches its climax, it is one of the best series out there lah. Because when the Expanse is at its best, like very few series can top it lah.
Agreed.
It really really feels like a top-notch show, especially in certain episodes, like the mid-season finale for example. And I love that how it perfectly balanced two giant plots over a 13-episode season. The Expanse writers have taken like this very creative approach to adapting James S.A. Corney's novel series lah, where you would expect a one book per season structure, but instead they divided this into 2 books over 1 season. So they didn't need to unnecessarily linger or have filler episodes.
And all that,
Correct lah. Like if the book ended in the middle of the season, move on to the next book, and that's exactly what they did lah. I thought it was a very interesting choice there, especially the reset episode with the documentary and everything. It's something that I see a lot of prestige dramas do, but I don't see genre shows do. So this is, I feel like the X-Men is like a genre prestige drama.
It's a genre prestige.
And with it moving to to Amazon next season, it will probably be more of a prestige drama.
By the way, thank you, Amazon.
Thanks Amazon.
Okay, but to be fair, right? If let's say they got cancelled, right?
I would have been fine.
Right? The ending was very nicely
I would have been perfectly
written
fine
in, right?
How many more books are there?
There's a lot. I think there's 5 or 6 more books. The 6th one is coming out this year.
So
they can go indefinitely lah. Amazon is one of the entities in this streaming war going on right now, so they're desperate for content, and I think they're going to keep the Expanse around for as long as possible. Just because they need it.
I don't mind.
Sci-Fi.
I am not complaining.
The problem with the Expanse is that it lacks live viewership, but it has a ton of on-demand viewership. And Sci-Fi being a traditional network requires for advertising lah. All the money is in live viewership. And Amazon doesn't go by that business model. So so it's a really really good home for the Expanse as well. I thought this particular season as well introduced a ton of interesting new characters who I immediately really liked. Anna, for example, I think is my favorite of the new characters. She is played by Elizabeth Mitchell, and she's essentially just
playing the preacher, right?
She's the preacher, correct? / speech maker. She's essentially playing Juliet from Lost. It's the same character, just in a different context. It's the exact same intonation, her mindset and everything. She's Juliet from Lost, but in the Expanse, so that made me excited. I really like Anna and her point of view. She's a very calming influence, and her interactions with some of our main characters are really good. Her interactions with Christian, for example, or later on, who's the gruff guy?
Amos.
Amos.
Amos Ashford.
That one like is very easily foreshadowed to be some sort of like romantic storyline. It's easy to see that anyone who's ever watched a TV show knows that they're going to be an item. So I mean it's great lah. It's a good dynamic.
I like the little thing where they sabotage the Rocinante.
That was a kind of it was a very very good setup, right? Because up to the point where they reveal, are we in spoiler territory yet?
I guess we can go into light spoilers, sure.
Okay, sure. Up to the point when they reveal the last mile girl is on the ship, right? I thought that was well. I mean, I kind of suspected it, when they started showing her. Yeah, exactly. I was like, there are very few Asians here. I think it should be Mao. Okay, let's go with that.
It's just not just Asian. She's very clearly like mixed race. She has a very unique look lah.
Yeah, definitely does.
Like they cast the perfect actress for it, because I would buy that they were sisters in real life.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I like how I hated her at the beginning, like how like ridiculous her plot was. How like extreme she was. And then like slowly you gain more sympathy. Like she became sympathetic by the end.
She made the right call in the end.
Exactly.
I mean, like the entire scene where she's listening to Holden talking, right, in the jail cell.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, even though I felt like her redemption arc was really
Too fast, right?
very rushed.
Yeah.
But I mean, given the premise and what they were trying to do at that point in time, sure, by all means, right. But I have to say, Amos this season is my favorite character, hands down. And I was kind of mentioning to Hidze the last time I was speaking about it after we were done watching it. It's like, it's so interesting because Amos has been such a broken character over the last 2 seasons, right?
Yeah.
And amidst like all these grand narratives of like order and system and all that, you have this outsider who's broken and just kind of like not functioning. But amidst the chaos, he's the perfect character.
Yeah, the guy who got his head screwed on right.
Yeah, exactly. And like he proposes the most practical things and all the things, and while everybody is just kind of wrestling with these great moral dilemmas, right? Amos is just like, you know what? Let's just do it. Just get it done.
Yeah, I mean, like Holden was a bit cray-cray.
Yeah.
Right? Then Naomi was doing her whole belter thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And Martian driver guy, what's his name?
Martian driver guy?
The guy who pilots the ship.
Yeah. Martian driver guy.
Okay, let's just go with that.
I
Yeah.
can't remember that name.
Oh god, we're so bad at this.
Martian driver guy. By the way, pirate guy's name is Ashford. He's played by
Ashford,
David.
yes.
He's played by David Stratham.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like him, David Stratham.
Yeah.
I mean, Ashford is one of the great new characters, but at its core, it's still a perfectly calibrated ensemble with our core 4.
Yeah.
I thought Naomi had a lot of great character development this season.
Yeah,
Amos, obviously,
Yes,
because
Amos.
Amos just used to be a little puppet from by
But either Holden or Naomi.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah,
She used
exactly.
he used to be defined by either Holden or Naomi, but now he has his own agency and
Yeah.
he has his own character arc, which is great
Which
as
is great.
well.
Loved it.
Yeah, you're right. Amos is 100% my favorite, but I had a bit of an issue with Holden this season because he just felt like
He was a plot device.
yeah, Holden felt like a plot device. He was just reacting to things, or he was just being possessed by
But
Proto
he got the
molecules.
vision.
He got the visions, and then he's leading the plot lah. He just instead
Like,
of
follow me.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the first 2 seasons, the MacGuffin was either the Malgo or the proto-molecule. But this season, Holden is the MacGuffin.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
He's our main protagonist.
Exactly.
So that was a bit of an issue for me. So I hope that Holden gets a bit more autonomy next season.
Sure, for sure. I mean, like, I feel like
Well, now that the gates are open, maybe lah.
perhaps we'll see. I mean, the crew is back together again, you know, and I mean, the whole new universe is open to
Yeah,
them.
because
so
now
sure.
that all the gates are open, the possibilities are like limitless.
Yeah. lah.
I'm very interested to see what they choose
Yeah,
to end up
exactly.
doing, right? Because there is.
But I haven't read the books, I have no idea.
Me neither.
I hope it doesn't turn into Stargate. Lah. I mean, not there's anything wrong with Stargate.
The beginnings of
fans.
Stargates are good.
The beginnings of Stargate were good lah. Yeah, but with the opening of the Abaddon's Gate in the ring, I'm
Yep.
intrigued to see this hard
Yeah,
sci-fi show slowly evolve into a more fantastical sci-fi show.
Yeah.
And how that would affect the power dynamics or the political dynamics in our system.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Can I
sure.
just add one last thing?
Sure, yeah, go for it.
This reminded me a lot of Mass Effect. The game.
Oh.
Yeah, in terms of the gates being
Right,
alien
right.
gates
Sure,
and all
sure.
that.
And then
Has
like
that-
having
has
like.
that- and that politics between different races.
And
you know,
then
that
like
kind
a
of thing.
dead civilization
Yeah,
kind
the
of
dead
like
civilization.
affecting
Yeah,
this
exactly.
technology. Yeah, okay, I can see that thread there.
That's all. How do you guys rate this season?
9 out of 10 for me.
Yep, hands
Same,
down,
hands
like
down.
easily.
9 out of 10. Same.
Just so many great moments of dialogue that encapsulates that. Bobby and Amos before the firefight, you know, Arzrala and Anna, so many good
So
things.
many, right?
Kamina and Ashford in the
The one where they got stuck.
the shipping bay. Oh,
Yeah.
such a great moment. Such a
And
great scene.
got you like into the belter culture even more, right? Like,
Yes,
okay, this is quite
yes.
cool people.
A lot of grand speech making and all great
Yeah, a lot of
speeches
that,
this time
yeah,
around.
Yeah,
Which I
indeed.
really, really loved.
Okay.
Let's talk about another great live action show, also taking place somewhere in the future, but a much nearer future and a more dreadful future. Let's talk about the second season of The Handmaid still.
Yes.
Which is very interesting because this is the first season that goes past Margaret Atwood's initial novel.
But she's still very involved in the creation.
She's still very involved. Clearly, she's one of the executive producers.
Yeah.
She's in the writer's room, so her fingerprints are all over this.
Yeah.
Alongside showrunner Bruce Miller, of course. And I think there's no TV show in history I've admired more
Yeah.
while looking forward to watching less.
Yeah.
It's beautifully shot. It's stunningly acted. It's thoughtfully written.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just find it difficult to watch this stuff
Very
because
disturbing, very.
it's so difficult to watch. It's brutal. It's one of the hardest to watch dystopias I've ever seen.
It is, and it also makes me appreciate women a lot more.
Yeah, I mean it's it's fucked up that you need this cautionary tale
Yeah.
to tell you what could be.
What could be, yeah.
But the scary part is that it's not even that far fetched, because there are plenty of societies in the world right now where women are put in this position.
Yeah.
If you think about the Middle East, or if you
Certain
talk
parts of the Middle
certain
East,
parts of the Middle East, or if you talk about how democracies can crumble overnight. Nazi Germany, the Cultural Revolution in Iran, for example, because they used to be a liberal society, and suddenly a theocracy just swept through.
Even the Cultural Revolution in China.
Indeed. And season 2 of The Handmaid is still one of television's most brilliant but brutal experiences. I feel myself like this is just a personal opinion. I think that the show only gets stronger as it expands beyond the novel to develop other aspects of Margaret Atwood's world. Because it gets to world build this season. You get looks into the irradiated concentration camps, the colonies, or the poor underage econo-wives, for example. So there are all these other aspects that were mentioned in Margaret Atwood's novel but were never explored
and developed in this season.
And season 2 got to develop that exactly. Gilead's like misogynist theocracy, right?
Correct.
It remains a potent cautionary tale, kind of elevated by very, very good cinematography and incredible acting. I think it doesn't need to be said that Elizabeth Moss is amazing. She won the Emmy for Best Actress last year, and she is the defending champion.
She wins again this year. I have no problem at all.
I have no problems. I just want to see Kara.
Someone else.
I just want to see Kara Russell or Claire Foy win because it's their last chance. But I'm getting sidetracked right now. This season's standout, I think, is 2 other actresses. One is Alexis Bledel, whose vulnerability has kind of transitioned into Venom this season, because she was pretty hardcore in the colonies. Her character development there.
Killed someone.
She fucking murdered someone. And I also like the development of Yvonne Strahovski, who many of you know from Chuck, but is the Serena, the wife of Commander Waterford, Mrs. Waterford. And she has grown into a more sympathetic figure this season.
Yes.
And an unlikely ally for Offred.
Yes.
Don't
use her slave name.
An unlikely ally for June. I like that Yvonne Strahovski has managed to imbue what could have been a very cold character in Serena Joy, with like unseen depths and vulnerabilities and her own ambition. And there's also a certain irony to discovering that Serena Joy was one of the primary policymakers for Gilead,
From the beginning, before the Civil War.
This is what she wanted, and how her grand dream has so backfired on her. What do you think of the season?
Okay. Wow. So I just recently completed the season. And it was just I've never been so afraid to watch a series. The brutality of the Gilead government was very apparent. How they the first scene, the one when they got all the
scary, right? The mass hanging scene.
The mass hanging scene. I was like, Jesus Christ, at Fenway Park, and I was like, no way.
They're very good at taking the symbols of liberty, like Fenway Park or the Boston Globe, for example, and turning it upside down.
Yeah, so in the end, it wasn't really a mass hanging, it was just a lesson. And that was when I was like, Anita, you are a piece of shit.
Yeah, and that's not a spoiler because it happens in the first 10 minutes of the first episode.
So that kind of imagery keeps on happening throughout. When they go to the Boston Globe and what they find there, what June finds there. And then you understand that June's journey, how she... how you already sympathize for her, and like how you don't want her to go through more of this shit, and then more of this shit happens to her, and then like, oh man, enough lah.
I think like
she's gone through enough.
I think like there is a certain level of frustration in wallowing in the depression or the brutality of Gilead lah. But at the same time, also it would feel unorganic if June was somehow to miraculously just suddenly escape.
Correct, of course.
I mean, not only does that destroy the fundamental the show fundamentally, but it wouldn't feel right lah. Because it doesn't make sense that somebody of June's stature could just so easily escape dystopia such as this lah.
And they made sure that we got that lah. With the fact that she got so close.
Multiple times. There was the incident when she first ran away. Not ran away like she was kind of helped along. And then she got on the plane, only to be taken off mid-flight. As it was just about to take off.
When they pulled her out of the plane and that scene, I was like, oh no.
And then there's also when she was alone in the woods when Nick was suddenly taken away when she visited her daughter.
Hannah.
She could have escaped then, but she couldn't because she went into labor. And then at the end, right in the finale, spoiler alert territory now, where she's again given an opportunity to escape. but instead of escaping, she gives up her daughter Nicole to Alexis Bledel,
Emily.
Rory Gilmore,
Rory Gilmore.
so Rory Gilmore can take her to Canada, and then she goes back into Gilead to save Hannah.
Yeah.
Which is again could be very frustrating.
But it's a maternal thing. Like it made sense for her to do that.
It makes sense in character, but it still doesn't stop the viewer from being
Frustration.
frustrated,
Yeah,
because
correct.
how many times can you go through this trope of she almost escapes, she gets captured, she almost escapes, she decides
But it's
to go
always
back.
a good reason.
It's always a good reason,
Yeah.
It's never stretched credibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it seems like, it's frustrating. And that's one of the things that kind of brings it down for me this season. Although every decision made is logical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the frustration is still there.
The frustration is still there.
Okay, but I want to highlight two characters which I thought were really greatly focused on.
Yeah.
Lydia is one.
Yeah.
Because I hated her at the beginning, but I kind of like sympathized with her as the season went on, and how she interacted with June especially, and he realized that her goal, her mission of having a baby, of taking care of the baby and making sure that the baby comes to no harm, is also a noble, twisted but that noble kind of thing that she has.
Yeah.
So you can kind of sympathize with her when she confessed to June about that she had a goddaughter last time and she died at 4, and then that kind of thing. Lydia was someone that I didn't think I would sympathize by the end.
Yeah.
Like Serena made more sense because of what she went through this season.
Yeah.
She was the other standout for me. But yeah, Lydia was my other standout this season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess since we're in spoiler alert territory, we can probably say that Rory Gilmore murdered her.
Well, she didn't die, right?
She didn't die.
Yeah,
Well,
she got
she's
injured.
she's very close to death. Like, she got
Yeah.
like stabbed in the chest.
But didn't
and
tell back.
back, kicked
And then
down
got
the
kicked down the
stairs.
stairs. And then she kept on kicking her.
Yeah, it was really brutal, and at that point I felt really bad for Lydia, although it should have been a cathartic moment.
Exactly.
And I like how they subvert that lah.
Exactly, right?
yeah.
Because Emily went through all this shit and finally got the hands
Hands
of
on Lydia, but
Yeah.
at that point you were already sympathetic to Lydia
Exactly.
because you know where she's coming from.
So that caused more frustration for me.
Yeah, yeah. I think the beautiful part of the Handmaid still is that regardless of the level of power of various women like Serena Joy, for example, or Lydia, or June, or Emily, is that like regardless of what level of power they are in Gilead, they are oppressed or
Correct.
in one way or another lah. And so is Lydia, to be honest,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so is Serena.
Yeah.
Because when Serena tries to achieve a level of autonomy, let's say when after the bombing, right, and
Yeah.
after Commander Waterford was in hospital,
And how she took charge of the
she took
policies
charge.
and all that stuff.
and then in the end,
Oh, that's a beautiful scene, by the way.
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
But then in the end, also she never got any credit for it.
No.
In fact, she was punished for it.
Got beaten.
Yes, she got beaten and then she lost the finger subsequently for reading the
Reading
Bible,
out.
which was a terrible idea, by the way. But I guess she was trying to spark an act of rebellion or a policy change by rallying the other wives.
Backfired though.
It really backfired lah. I think like the scariest thing about Handmaid still for me is that its careless government or theocracy seems less and less far-fetched every day lah.
Yeah.
The one standout episode of the season, there are many standout episodes of the season, but the one especially horrifying episode in particular aired during the week when all these terrible news stories were coming out from America about immigrant children being separated from their
Yeah.
families because of ICE.
Yeah.
It's entitled The Last Ceremony lah, which is the 10th episode, and it's just this
Yeah.
like gutting experience filled with the darkest moments of a show, known for its dark moments.
Yeah.
June is given a chance to meet her daughter, as
Hannah,
we
yeah.
kind of alluded to earlier, and the two kind of share a small moment together, like in a cottage in the woods. And then they're forced to live out the separation all over again because you know the reunion is very short-lived.
It's a temporary thing.
It's a temporary thing taken away, and then there's this imagery of like men with guns taking away a child from the mother.
I know.
It's no longer this cautionary tale dystopian imagery because it's happening in real life lah.
Yeah.
And the scary thing about Handmaid still has always been that it's getting less and less far-fetched.
That it becomes more and more accurate. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just so terrible.
Yeah, it is.
But in a good way, you know. I mean, like it's a TV series. Like critically, it's one of the best TV series.
It's an urgent and important TV show to watch. Its themes are very timely.
Yep.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it any less difficult to watch.
I agree.
For sure. What do you think of the end of season 3? It was
Season 2.
Sorry, season 2 leading into season 3. It was fairly divisive because a lot of people felt that the ending with June, putting the hood over her head, striking that superhero pose, felt very unlike the show, and a lot of people kind of rebelled against it. I think most of the Handmaid still fandoms and most of the critical articles that I've read were very, very harsh on the season finale in particular.
I really didn't have that much of a problem with it.
Yeah.
Personally. I mean, I feel that moment was well deserved also.
It was earned.
Yeah, because it's not like as if she just suddenly did that. Like what she went through, the whole journey of getting to that one position where she could have just gone instead, and I thought it was well earned lah. Yeah, so I was fine with it.
Yeah, I thought especially because the Handmaid still showrunner Bruce Miller was saying that season 3 is going to be almost exclusively focused on the rebellion. So I'm assuming June is going to join some sort of resistance lah.
Yeah.
And there is a easy transition from season 2 to season 3 lah, in terms of June's mindset, her psychology, and how she suddenly like steeled herself to not just become a victim but to fight back lah.
Exactly.
So I personally liked it. A lot of people did not lah. How would you rate season 3?
Honestly,
season 2. I keep saying 3.
I know,
season
but it's
2.
okay.
Yeah.
Because we're excited for season 3,
Season 3, yeah.
which is weird because it was such a brutal show.
No, because I think season 3 is going to be a more hopeful season.
Yeah, because
there
of
shows
rebellion
a
and
lot
all
more
that,
people fighting back lah. Yeah.
Okay, because of the certain political realities in the world today, because of how they paced it really well.
Yeah.
It's so heavy, but yet I was okay watching it. Like I didn't feel tired and all that. So I would and the action, the acting from almost everybody is near flawless. From
Even
Commander Waterford to Lydia to Nick to June.
Nearly everyone.
Yeah, nearly everyone was great.
Yeah.
I would rate it 8.5.
Nice.
Yeah, out of 10.
Right, yeah. I'll rate it an 8 out of 10 myself.
Yeah.
So it's a very highly rated show from us.
Yeah.
We didn't even mention anything about Nick's wife. Who I thought Eden was really
a
good.
standout. Yeah.
If you don't know who the actress is, she was from a show called Everything Sucks, which is this 90s show on Netflix, which I liked. It's very light and fluffy.
She's from there. Okay.
She's from there, yeah. She was one of the bullies from there, so she's playing a very different character here.
Cool.
She's on another show right now, which I can't put my finger on, but it's a show that I like very much. I'll remind you guys if it comes to my mind later. And from now, we are gonna move past the serious political live action shows, Ant-Man and the Wasp aside, into some cartoons.
Go ahead, man.
Let's talk about some cartoons. Isa will be bringing back Isa's anime corner, so take it away, Isa.
Yes, so as we've just moved into the kind of autumn season for the year for anime, so as usual, I'm just going to talk about a couple of things. I've got a few new season recommendations based on our 3-episode rule. That comes highly recommended, as well as bringing back some of the franchises that are returning or currently ongoing, which again are highly recommended from us, as well as a very short, brief review of Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle.
The sequel to Planet of the Monsters, right?
Planet of the Monsters, yeah. So we'll just dive into it. So I'm not sure if you guys have caught any of the new stuff, but let's just dive. I'm going to start with... right now, I think probably what's going to shape up to be the best anime of the season, which is a sports anime, and I'm not a big fan of sports animes in general. But I just want to talk a bit about Hanebado, or the very strangely translated title of the badminton play of Ayano Hanesaki.
Wow.
Right?
It's a long title.
It is
Very
a long
specific title.
And a very specific title, exactly. I mean, it kind of follows the same, like, the basketball that Kuroko plays, right? Which we are all fans of. So I just want to talk about that for a bit, and I am unashamedly going to say that this might be the best sports anime of the modern era, just in terms of its production value.
Of all time? Closer.
I mean, like, it's very difficult to kind of compare it with the kind of techniques that we have now to say, like, Fist of the North Star, for example, right? Or even like Slam Dunk, which is a great sports anime in its time, right? But the animation, exactly, it's very, very dated. So, like, up till this season, up till this anime, for me, like, the top was Yuri on Ice, right? Followed very closely by Free, which is on its 3rd season right now, which is a swimming anime. And Haikyuu, and of course followed by Kuroko, which these have been the really, really popular like sports animes in recent times. But Hanebado is mind-blowingly good, and it is also a very it's a great example of the things that you can do in animation that you cannot do in live action. Right, there are a lot of bodies in motion that I feel that you can't capture in the way in live action that you can in anime. The storyline itself is kind of it's okay. It's very, I wouldn't say it's cliche, but it's very normal, right? You have kind of like a child prodigy who ends up, not being interested because of her circumstance and so on and so forth, and is spurred on by her teammates eventually. But the difference is being that, of course, that badminton is a individual sport for all intents and purposes, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're playing doubles, and that in and of itself kind of changes it from, say, Haikyuu or Kuroko.
Okay.
But Yuri is individual sport as well.
Yuri is an individual sport as well.
But
Of course,
beautifully drawn though.
Yeah, it is beautifully drawn. Less of a romance element in this one as well.
Okay.
Because we are talking.
Not boy love though, right?
Sorry.
Is it boy love or?
No, it's not. Actually, all the main characters are female.
Oh.
Yeah, so it has been very, very good, and I have to say, for a sports anime that's centered around female characters, there isn't a great deal of fan service, which I do appreciate, as opposed to one of the other beach volleyball ones this season, which is just pretty much just fan service.
Okay.
Right, so highly recommended. It's only a couple of episodes in, but already I am extremely impressed with the animation style and just the way they capture bodies in motion as well. Following up with that, on the more kind of like typical shonen fantasy stuff, we have Tenro, Sirius the Jaeger, which is about a werewolf who joins a vampire hunting team.
Sounds interesting already.
The story is kind of typical. They have a very different take on vampires. I think in recent history for Japanese anime, vampires have always been kind of idolized as this like ultra cool, ultra suave kind of thing going on. But this time around,
in Western and fiction as well.
yeah,
Like
exactly,
Hellsing,
right?
Hellsing?
Or even more recently, Castlevania.
Castlevania,
Right,
yeah.
like, but in this time, like vampires are portrayed as the monsters, and the werewolves are now the heroes, which is a quite interesting take. I'm not really sure exactly how the plot is going to unfold, or whether it will get any more interesting than the premise itself. But again, the animation work and the soundtrack especially is quite stunning. From what I have now. And then kind of moving on to a couple other notable mentions and a bit more of a light watch is Cells at Work, which is basically
White blood cells?
anthropomorphized cells in your body, basically. The humor is great. It's a bit absurd, but extremely educational, I have to say. And so far, it's been really, really good and very fun to watch. On the more slice of life note, we've got Holmes at Kyoto Teramachi Sanjo, which is basically about a very Sherlock Holmes-like character, a young boy who works at an antique shop.
Wow.
And of course, like, you get all your typical Holmes-esque tropes where he basically reads the case out of nowhere. It's episodic, very easy to get into, and very, very fun. In addition to that, there's Chio School Road, whose premise is extremely simple, but the absurdity of the and the antics of the show have been very entertaining so far. So it's basically about a girl's every morning kind of journey to her school, right?
Ooh.
So every day when she wakes up, she basically encounters ridiculous things on her way to school, and is almost always late. Right? And it's like it's such a simple thing, but it's so absurd. And I'm really, really enjoying it right now because it's very easy to kind of catch on. And kind of the last one that I think to just top that off in absurdity is called Backstreet Girls.
What?
Where it's about these 3 Yakuza guys, right? Because of some fuck up that they've done, are sent to Thailand for gender reassignment surgery by their Oyabun, which is, I mean, the mafia boss, right? And they're forced to come back and work as idols.
Nice.
And it is hilariously funny, right? Because it's basically these 3 Yakuza guys inside the body of like these live Japanese idol characters, right? And everything kind of like expands from there. It's really, really funny, and if that's kind of your thing, then by all means.
It's a Yakuza drag race.
Yeah, kind of. It's really quite mind blowing. How funny that premise can actually be, right? Also returning this season is Overlord season 3, about a guy who finds himself trapped in a game-like world at the end of when the game is terminated,
He's
he
the
gets
only
trapped
one
in the world, right? And he finds himself in like this very strange, like almost like Overlord hence the title, Overlord situation, where he's in command of some very, very powerful characters. In season 3, season 1 and 2 are on Netflix.
Yep.
Season 3 is 5 episodes in. For people who have caught the first 2 seasons, it's been great so far.
Okay.
And still continuing is of course our favorite My Hero Academia, which is still amazing.
There's 9 episodes left. Nine episodes left in season 3. So I think in 2 episodes we'll probably be wrapping up My Hero Academia. It's season 3 in general.
Yeah.
But it's going very, very well so far.
Exactly, and we'll go more into details.
It's gone from strength to strength, I feel.
Yes,
But we'll
it's
talk
no
more
fun
about it.
going down. One of the things to kind of take note of, if you're a big fan of Attack on Titan, season 3 is out.
Yeah.
But again, having not learned from kind of like the
Season 2?
the first 3 episodes have been incredibly boring
!aiyo!
and slow.
!aiyo!
It has to be noted that for people who have read the manga, you kind of know where this is going. And the manga has gotten extremely dialogue heavy and very philosophical, and not necessarily in a good way.
Okay.
And it looks like from the first 3 episodes of season 3
That's
going
where
to
they're
go
going.
down that exact same road.
Oui.
Right? So, I mean, like, if you're a big fan, please, by all means, go ahead and check it out. But I do not have high hopes for season 3.
Okay.
And like I did for season 2. And last but not least, let's talk about Godzilla. Did any of you catch it? Did
No.
either of you catch it? Okay,
Tell us about it.
I've still only seen the first 10 minutes of the first movie.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, so it kind of boiled down to me to kind of review it since I was did you finish the first one?
Halfway, remember?
Halfway.
I
So
told you I
okay.
couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. So being the only one that kind of finished it, we kind of
Tell us about it.
okay, so they kind of pick off almost exactly where we ended the last time round. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen the first one, where they've destroyed what they thought to be Godzilla and realized that, oh no, it's not the actual Godzilla, it's just like a mini Godzilla along the side. And now, lo and behold, you have this 300-meter tall Godzilla that appears out of nowhere.
Wow.
And you discover that is Godzilla, the original Godzilla.
Godzilla
right?
Prime.
Pretty much, right? Exactly. Actually, they go quite a bit into that idea.
Okay.
As well, and you kind of pick up from there. So all the characters that you thought might have died in the first one all miraculously appear to be alive.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. And again, it is not at all subtle in the allegories that they're trying to draw. Right, with the entire idea of humanity
Has fucked it up.
and the environment or Gaia, right? Like
Rebelling lah.
yeah, you know, and this whole idea, especially like I don't know if you guys got to the part where they kind of like basically napalm the entire forest just to create landing sites for themselves.
No.
But we continue in that trend, right?
Okay.
Whereas that was Godzilla coming in for Planet of the Monsters, right? Godzilla coming back was kind of like Earth retaking itself.
Yeah.
Right? And for this particular one, you discover the existence of a human-like race that apparently has evolved from insects.
What?
With its own culture,
Huh?
with its own sentience, with its own, like, a very human-like race that they kind
But
of
then
discovered.
they have been around for 10,000 years. They left Earth for 10,000
20,000.
20,000.
20,000.
Okay, that
So,
makes sense. That's
yeah,
possible.
so it has, the problem is it's throwaway.
It is.
They never actually expand upon that. Maybe they will in part 3, now that
Okay.
we know that there is going to be a part 3. And it's kind of throwaway. And there is a literal Deus Ex Machina.
What?
Oh, a god.
Uh,
A Godzilla and a machine.
no,
There's a
literally.
Mechagodzilla.
So yes, it is the return of
So
Mechagodzilla.
they built it in the
Oh,
first...
damn.
Exactly.
In the past,
And
it didn't work.
Yeah. And, so you have this entire idea of we, in order to reclaim the Earth, right? You go back to the exact same problem which is at the beginning, which is this entire idea of the nano tech that was used to create Mechagodzilla now becomes the other monster, right? Because it is also all-consuming, much like Godzilla is is destructive and all-consuming and all-powerful in its own sense.
Then how like this?
Oh, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many things want to kill it.
So it's just this.
But humanity is fucked.
So between the backdrop of this entire idea of Gaia and the natural order of things, and Godzilla now being king, right, of the environment, and this idea of technology and the future and the destruction of the environment set against the clash of these two very grand ideas, right?
Okay.
Or grand concepts, right? You have these very punitive moments of moral dilemma.
Okay.
With especially the main yet another whiny as anime protagonist.
Oh boy.
Yo.
Right, and it does not pay off very, very well.
Yee.
They do set up a interesting, much like the live action Godzilla,
Uh-huh.
right? They do hint at more powerful kaiju coming along.
Okay.
That will probably face up against Godzilla himself.
Oh, okay.
But overall, long story short, if you've watched the first one and powered through that, feel free to add to your time investment.
But you're not talking about a recommendation here, lah.
It is not a recommendation. My rating for it is a 5 upon 10.
Damn.
The pacing is better. The fight scenes are amazing. It
Okay.
is still gorgeous in
Okay.
terms of its animation, in terms of the soundtrack,
Okay.
all of that. But the story itself and the pacing is problematic.
Okay.
Still, right? And nothing has changed since then. It is a slight improvement. And if you ask me to kind of look at it across both parts thus far, it is a better product than it was with only part 1.
Okay.
So I think I struggle to say that it will go from strength to strength, because now that we found out that it's more than just one part, right? There are at least 4 to 5 more parts coming out from the rumor mill, at least. But yeah, I mean, like, if you are a big fan of the cell shading kind of art style, it is some of the best animation that's available right now in terms for that particular art style. But if you can forgive all those things, it's beautiful to watch.
Okay.
And if you can deal with the pacing, so be it lah.
Alright.
Right, so it's a 5 out of 10 for me. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're a big fan of Godzilla and just that particular art style, then by all means, as you will.
From Ice's anime corner, what are the 3 things that you must watch?
Must watch is Hanebado for sure.
Yeah.
Hanebado for sure. Please catch up with My Hero Academia.
Okay.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I'll just throw in a notable mention, right? I think I mentioned it to you last time.
Yeah.
It's not on Netflix yet, but it's a
Okay.
Netflix production called Bucky, right? It is a hyper-violent, almost like underground MMA anime where the premise is ridiculous. Everything is ridiculous, right? It's like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but hyper-violent.
Okay.
Which is saying a lot because JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is already
So have you
very,
watched
very
this
violent.
already?
Yes, I've been catching up on it. So it's like 4 episodes in, and it's basically about these ridiculously muscular men who have muscles bulging out from every portion of their body
Alright.
imaginable,
Yeah, that sounds like
fighting to be the strongest man on earth,
Alright.
right? And the main protagonist is a 17-year-old Japanese boy
Oh.
who has recently been crowned the best fighter on the planet,
Who's not that muscular?
who is extremely muscular.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah, but the fight scenes have been inventive.
Oh.
The violence has been over the top and all around very, very entertaining.
Okay.
The gore factor, I think, for me, ranks up there with Terror from Mars, which for me is one of the most like gore-heavy anime series.
On
that we
Terror
have.
from Mars, when you mentioned that Godzilla, the insect people thing, it got me thinking of Terror from Mars.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, like, they never explore it in depth, right?
Okay.
Everything was so shallow.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
We'll see how that pans out, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so that's just kind of a notable venture. But Hanebado for sure. Please catch up on My Hero Academia, which might be one of the best animes in recent history. And just for like fun stuff like Cells at Work has really, really been
Very interesting.
kind of
a very
revelation.
a very Pixar-like concept, actually, to be honest.
Yes, and, Pixar, like, yes, actually that is very, very apt.
Reminds me of Osmosis Jones. Do you remember that movie?
Osmosis
Oh.
Jones or Inside Out and stuff
Or
like
Inside
that.
Out.
Yeah.
Very good into the body.
Yes,
Right, yeah.
very,
Or
very
Rick and
interesting.
Morty, the episode with John Oliver.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those 3 will be must watches. Everything else, it's a bit early to say because I mean 3 episodes in is kind of tough. Maybe we'll revisit it at the end of
the season.
Yeah,
So,
okay, that makes sense.
I am most intrigued by Backstreet Girls.
Me
So
too.
Oh my God.
I'll
Yeah,
catch that.
I want to catch that
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It is a very kind of like niche kind of humor, right?
Okay.
It's very like it's very crude and very coarse, but just that I believe they want.
The premise sounds interesting.
The term is get moe, right? Which
Yeah.
is basically like this. It is because of the dissonance. That's why it's so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Itself, but it's really, really good.
Okay.
Nice. That is it for this month's Ice's Anime Corner.
Yep.
It's probably gonna be a quarterly segment. We're gonna we're going to revisit it maybe 3 months from now or when the season ends. We're definitely going to revisit My Hero Academia, specifically just because it's a special anime. So when that season ends, we'll do a big feature on it on probably episode 9 or episode 10.
Yeah, for sure.
Now we're going to go into quick hits, which is my own quick hits. It's just a really fast rundown of recommendations or things that you should not watch. Dis recommendations.
Describe, okay.
Yeah, that's not a word. Don't look it up.
Yeah, don't look it up.
Yeah.
Journalists.
So for this month's quick hits, as I mentioned, it's going to be very, very animation heavy. With one really, really bad live action show on Netflix. But let's run through it. Let's start with the good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's start with the good stuff.
What's the good stuff?
Okay.
The first thing that I'm going to be talking about is actually a show that Isa Fong recommended to me maybe a few years ago. It's called Steven Universe. And I think it's one of the best shows that I've seen this month.
Yeah.
Or this year, to be honest. I think like Western animation right now is kind of just in the middle of a golden age. With shows like BoJack Horseman and Rick and Morty have emerged as like standard bearers for adult cartoons. And over on the children's side as well, shows like Steven Universe have shown an amazing amount of emotional depth and nuance that is rare for at least cartoons that I had growing up.
Okay.
This series kind of started out as like a slice of life story about a young boy and his magical family, but it's emerged into like one of the most daring cartoons I've seen in terms of its open-hearted stories and in terms of its LGBTQ themes. It's rare to see a kid show these days deal with like themes like intimacy, love, abuse, and the constant threat of annihilation. While at the same time still being so deeply poignant. But while balancing all of that with like Steven's simpler, joyful moments of like eating a donut. But in season 1, the show was very simple. It was very self-contained. A lot of the episodes were very one-off. As the show has grown, especially right now in season 5, it's become very, very serialized.
Wow.
Because I binged it over the last maybe 6 months, I noticed the growth very drastically. Season 4 and season 5 in particular were so serialized. There were no longer one-off episodes. Every episode bled into another. So there were like good chunks of like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes that just basically made up one giant episode. It's very rare to see a cartoon like that.
But it's especially interesting because they're usually like 10-minute, 15-minute episodes.
11 minutes is probably the average.
Right. So and the fact that I started off watching it basically because it was like this very simple kind of episodic thing. The music was great. I like the animation style, right? And for that to have gone from such a very, very kind of like silly, if somewhat simple goofy, silly premise into some of the best world building I've seen, in Western animation so far.
And the most emotionally complicated show I've ever seen, actually, like in terms of just either adult or children shows, because the emotional complexity in this reminds me of stuff like in BoJack Horseman. Actually, it gets very, very dark and it's very surprising.
But I think it's always been very hopeful, which is a very different take on, say, our Rick and Morty with his whole nihilist problem thing, and of course the existentialist problems that BoJack faces,
which deals a lot with mental illness,
exactly.
But with Steven Universe, I think he has, at his core, it's a very kind-hearted, open-hearted show, and the moments of emotional honesty that Steven Universe brings has kind of become a meme in itself in the series, because in season 5 there were several problems that ended with a big speech by Steven, which would not typically solve the problem in season 1. But in season 5 they were just like, oh shit, his speech didn't work. This problem is more complicated than a speech from a 14-year-old boy.
Exactly.
You can't just be nice and solve everything. And it has grown up with Steven Universe, because Steven Universe was a young boy, an adolescent going to a teenagehood, and now he is a young adult.
He is a young adult with young adult problems on a universal scale.
It's great. I mean, as you mentioned, the animation is beautiful. The music in particular has been a standout from season 1 to 5.
Absolutely.
Rebecca Sugar's compositions, very, very nice and heartfelt. Beautiful songs, especially its ending song. The chiptune composers who do their normal score, ranging from like either jazz to drum and bass, it was so good that I went to buy the album on iTunes.
It is really, really, really good. Like just the way that they've kind of gathered this entire community of creators. I believe it was on Tumblr actually. They kind of like gathered their own little thing and started with the pilot on their own before it got picked up.
Rebecca Sugar famously was an animator and storyboarder on Adventure Time.
Yep.
She pitched the show independently of Adventure Time. Basically just animating the pilot during her free time.
Yeah.
Pitched it to Cartoon Network. They loved it.
Yep.
She quit Adventure Time to focus on this because she had trouble doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
During the first season, she was actually working on Adventure Time and Steven Universe, and she said that she worked herself to death. She just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's turned out to be, I think, for me, like a show better than Adventure Time.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't think Adventure Time ever reaches into this realm, right? Of deep, very deep philosophical questions, very deep emotional problems. Like Adventure Time, as good a series as it is, right, never even touches that.
Yeah.
You know. So
I mean, even recently, the season 5, the major plot is Steven being abducted by the Gems in the homeworld and being put on trial for his mother's war crimes.
Yep.
That in itself, Steven discovering that his mother wasn't what he thought he was.
Yes.
Is actually a very complicated issue.
Yes.
There's also, I mean, other complicated issues, like, for example, Pearl's resentment of Steven. Although, I mean, she doesn't blame Steven for the mother being dead, but at the same time, she has this resentment to Steven for taking away what was essentially her reason for being.
Yes, exactly.
And also, not only that, has resentment towards Greg Universe as well.
Yes.
For falling in love with Rose Quartz.
Rose Quartz.
Also, the revelation that Rose Quartz was actually Pink Diamond. And then Pink Diamond was the one who faked the death, became Rose Quartz. That really tore apart the team.
Yeah,
Okay.
it really does. I mean, like, just going on to that, like, about Pearl's resentment, right? It's actually something you can spot in season 1.
Yeah, very early on.
And very, very early on. And because, like, I'm assuming some of you guys are going to go binge this. Because it is really that easy to binge. You're going to see that thread be very, very consistent throughout all 5 seasons, in fact. And that is one of the standouts for Steven Universe, the fact that they establish early on character traits and they examine it and they go very deep into it and it is consistent, right? And that's something that we can't say for most media over 5 seasons. Animated or not.
100%. I mean, it is more than 150 episodes, but considering each episode is 10 minutes long, it's a very easy binge.
Yeah, it is.
My favorite episode from this season was called The Question. Basically, Garnet is made out of 2 gems. She's a fusion of Ruby and Sapphire. And then upon the revelation of Pink Diamond being Rose Quartz, they split up. Because they've been lied to. They want to find autonomy for themselves. But in the end, they came back together because the reason they fused was because of love. And then Ruby actually proposes to Sapphire, which I think is the only same-sex marriage in cartoon, at least in children's cartoon.
Young children's cartoon.
And it's done in such a sweet and normalized way. I think it teaches kids the right values.
Yeah, it does.
Fantastic stuff. White Diamond is coming next season. She's being teased as a very, very grave threat, like bigger than Yellow or Blue Diamond.
I think she was teased in SDCC, right?
Steven Universe movie also coming soon.
Yes.
Wow.
Fantastic stuff. And speaking of Steven Universe, much in the same way that Rebecca Sugar used to be an animator and storyboarder for Adventure Time, she quit to do Steven Universe. You know the Ghanaian family in Steven Universe, the guys who run the fish pizza, fish to pizza. So the Ghanaian family is actually based on one of the storyboarders called Ian Jones Quartey. And Ian Jones Quartey himself, during this 5th season of Steven Universe, was developing his own show called OKKO Let's Be Heroes. He has since recently quit Steven Universe because his show got picked up. So now he's working full time on that as well. So Ian Jones Quartey met Rebecca Sugar while they were both working on Adventure Time. They created Steven Universe together, and now he's going off doing his own thing. So I like this whole progression of talent.
It has been. It's just the gathering of that particular community and what they stand for, right? And the great stuff that is coming out of there. If I'm not wrong, the We Bear Bears people are also part of that particular clique. It's very, very interesting the way
a bunch of talented people,
the Cartoon Network crew. So OKKO Let's Be Heroes isn't as good as Steven Universe, but it's still a very, very charming small story about a sweet little boy who yearns to become the best superhero there ever was. It's a bit like Midoriya from My Hero Academia, but done in the style of Steven Universe. Now in its 2nd season though, OKKO Let's Be Heroes has become a much more drastically compelling show because it's like Steven Universe, introducing more darker and more complex narratives without ever losing the heart and the fun that made it so captivating initially. So this is a Saturday morning cartoon with a surprising amount of emotional depth, Never to the level of Steven Universe, but at the same time, I never thought Steven Universe would get this deep.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna give OK Kill Let's Be Hero time to develop itself.
Yeah.
Another recommendation as well. Steven Universe for me this season 5 is I think the only show. At least this episode I will rate a 10 out of 10.
Yep.
OK Kill Let's Be Heroes is a 7 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, but Steven Universe 10 out of 10, 100%. You gotta watch it. You gotta
Please
binge
watch,
it.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be talking about the latest season of Voltron, which is only 7 episodes actually.
How do you find it?
After 5 seasons and 45 episodes, DreamWorks Animations, this is DreamWorks, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Slash Netflix lah.
Yes,
has been so impressive. It should be difficult for new episodes to go above and beyond the stories already delivered so far. But happy to say that season 6 manages to do just that. The new 7-episode arc tears open the legendary Defenders universe in ways that neither the series nor its original series has ever done. Up until this point, Voltron has always focused mostly on the Paladins, the pilots who fly the robot lions. But recently, Voltron has wrapped up the Zarkon arc, which frees the story to switch to the other machinations of the war. So you kind of focus on other characters in the particular universe. So I like how it's expanded. It's a very, very short season, but the pacing and the plotting works, especially since the early episodes take time to explore the heady sci-fi concepts and personal relationships before the last few installments kind of rocket towards a breakneck pace that delivers all-out action and pretty much game-changing consequences for the show itself.
Okay.
It's a good 7.5 out of 10 for me for this one.
Alright.
I don't know if you catch Voltron.
I'm still like season 3.
Okay.
Because it's a bit slower on the Singapore Netflix.
I watched this by other means.
Okay.
So I mean, I think this particular season, exactly what you said, right? The whole, again, it's kind of like what's happening with Handmaid's Tale, right? This reboot of Voltron has far superseded the original content of the original animation.
Yeah.
Expanded the universe and the mythology
and on the characters as well, and it's reached a point whereby it's a brand new world.
Yeah, I mean,
universe.
because when I watched the original Voltron.
As a kid, right?
Yeah, as a kid, and it was simple and easy to. It's a half an hour, cartoon that made sense lah at that time lah.
Yeah.
And
so like I think I'm curious to see where it goes, because I feel that they've pushed it to its logical conclusion, right?
Oh, okay.
So they've examined everything that the original series did, expanded upon that, a very easy art style to enjoy, great music, great characters. I mean, like the fandom surrounding some of the shipping that is going on is quite mad. It is quite mad.
From what I read, there is another season that's already...
Season 7 will be coming out in a month or 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, but that will be a full 13-episode season.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very interesting for them to kind of like have half a season as a full season this time round, but it was very fitting, like the way that they did it. It opens a lot of avenues, and I feel like this is kind of a common thread with all the things that we've been talking about for this particular podcast, with Expanse opening a whole new universe to them.
Yeah.
Handmaid still going past the books.
Yeah.
Again, kind of in the same thread as well.
Ant-Man going to the quantum realm.
Yeah. So that's kind of the theme for this.
Okay lah.
this
Expansion
episode.
lah. Expansion.
Ant-Man is significantly less substantive than the other titles.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I'll be moving into another cartoon called Trollhunters, another DreamWorks production.
Yes.
DreamWorks has been
I
killing
didn't
it.
manage to catch this.
Trollhunters is great. It's actually from the mind of Guillermo del Toro. He's who obviously recently won an Oscar for The Shape of Water. But a lot of people don't know that he's actually been doing Trollhunters for the last 3 years as well on Netflix. It's the tale of a kid named Jim Lake Jr., who's a high school student in the suburb of Arcadia, right?
Yes.
Who discovers a hidden world of trolls beneath his feet and becomes embroiled in this centuries-long conflict. I really, really like Trollhunters. I feel like it's a very inventive and very addictive show. Now in its 3rd and final season, Jim and his team of both human and troll allies alike face the ultimate evil of Gunn and his cohorts. The final confrontation brings about a very satisfying conclusion to the Trollhunters story so far, with some twists and turns that fans are going to debate. I don't know whether they will like it or not, but they are going to debate it. It will be a huge talking point, and the world itself will continue past Trollhunters. I think past Jim Lake as well.
Past Jim, yes.
So we'll see where the mythology goes. But in terms of Trollhunters itself, I think that the 3rd season was a very, very nice wrap up to a very inventive show. I do have to mention that there is a lot going on this season. Perhaps too much to address in a way that is satisfying. Satisfying. It's actually quite satisfying, but in a way that in a deeper way lah.
Yeah.
A lot of things felt rushed and quite surface.
Yes, indeed.
But the Trollhunters do wrap up nicely and rewards fans for the years of devotion. One particular talking point I do have to bring up is a sad one, is that this was the last work of Anton Yelchin before he passed away. Ran over by his own car, I believe.
Yes, he was pinned against his gate.
Mailbox, a few years ago. Anton Yelchin, Chekhov, right?
Chekhov.
From Star Trek, the new Star Trek.
I remember this.
And Green Room, which is a great horror movie as well. So he has been voicing Jim Blake for the last 3 years as well. He had completed half of season 3 at the point of his death. So in the middle of season 3, he's replaced by Emil Hirsch, who's brought on to finish out the work. It's a tough decision lah. I do understand, but it's hard to make, and I do have to give Emil Hirsch credit because he was actually quite good.
Yes.
And I mean, it's noticeable, but it's barely noticeable.
It kind of tied in at the same point in time in the season where certain changes happened to Jim as well. I mean, like I kind of saw that it was convenient. For sure. I do miss Anton's work. Because like you kind of over 2 seasons you kind of get to know the character, especially the voice in the animated series, right? And that kind of, I mean, you could feel the change for sure.
Trollhunters is highly recommended. It has one of the best pilots I've ever seen actually in season 1, episode 1.
Yes.
It continues to be a lot better than it continues to get a lot better. I recommended this to, I think, Isa a few years ago, or maybe last year. You've caught up there.
I finished the entire thing. It was one of my binge.
Trollhunters?
Good stuff, I think Trollhunters and Steven Universe was something that we exchanged.
Yes.
And now we both have caught up onto like excellent shows. Trollhunters is an 8 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
The next one is live action. Going back to life, the real life, it sucks. I'm going to be talking about Tao, which is
this a disc recommendation?
This is a disc recommendation.
DISS?
Yeah, just a disc.
It's just a disc?
Tao is a new movie on Netflix. It follows a street smart grifter by the name of Julia, who is kidnapped and held captive in an artificially intelligent futuristic house. So this is a unique twist on the haunted house genre, except the house itself is sentient. Unfortunately, it's boring and predictable, and it's not even good enough to be a filler episode of Black Mirror.
Wow,
Yeah.
that bad.
I'd rather you watch a recent X-Files episode where Mulder fights an artificially intelligent sushi
Sushi
restaurant,
restaurant?
which is a lot better version of this.
You covered it a few months ago, right?
A few months ago. Tao is a solid 3 out of 10.
Wow,
Yeah.
Solid.
I think we need a new a new kind of rating whereby we just tell them how far we got into the thing. So I didn't manage 10 minutes.
Oh wow. This is a show I see here is Gary Oldman, right?
He's
the voice
he's
of
the
the
yeah,
house.
correct.
Doesn't save it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Not even close.
What else? That's it for this month's hard hits. Quick hits. Sorry. I confused our other show. That's a wrap for this month's quick hits. Obviously there'll be more quick hits next month, but for now we'll move on to a bit of a sadder news. We'll remember some of our fallen creators, dearly departed. We'll be talking about Steve Ditko, who super famous. Harlan Ellison and Jon Schnepp. Let's begin with Harlan Ellison. He actually passed away on the day of the recording of our last Genre Equality, so we didn't really have time to put something together. But let's talk a little bit about like what we remember of Harlan Ellison. I mean, me personally, I always felt that he was this very firebrand type of character, almost like a Kanye West-like figure of science fiction, whose volatile and controversial personality belies his genius writing.
Yes.
So if you're looking to get into his works, I have some recommendations. But before I get into it, do you guys have anything you want to say about Harlan or any recommendations of his work?
I kind of feel like the drama that surrounds him and his life and his work, right, kind of belies how genius he actually is.
Kanye?
Yeah, basically, right? You cannot deny the genius of his work if you can push past all the drama. And like so many major things in genre, Star Trek, for example.
I'll get into that.
Him shitting on Star Wars. Babylon 5 and all of that. Just like it's tough to that. I think for me, and I don't know if you're recommending it, but what I will always remember is the first time that I read I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream. Which is one of the most disturbing short stories I've ever read. and
Yeah.
to this day still haunts me once
Yeah,
in a while.
that's the one that you recommended to me last time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I read that too, and I have to say that's
It
one of
is.
the best.
It's a disturbing story about a future in which like AI machines have killed off all but a few humans, but keep them immortal and torture them eternally. And I won't tell you how.
Yeah,
But you gotta read it, lah. It's
yeah,
amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing, and I think like that is for me his standout work.
Yeah.
And very very characteristic of the man himself.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
On point. How about you, Hadi?
Same, that was the thing I was gonna recommend also.
I have no mouth and I must scream was
It's
actually
one of the best things
one of the
ever.
best and was actually adapted into a game.
Oh yes. So I tried looking for this game.
Yeah.
Right, and I've seen there are a lot of artifacts online and stuff like that, screenshots and stuff like that, but I cannot find a working game for that. But if any of you do, please feel free to play it.
Yeah.
It is he's heavily involved in the game itself.
Yeah.
He voices AM
Yeah.
in the game, and he was part of the writing team as well.
Yeah.
So like the game is a very is an extension of the story itself and something that he personally saw too. So I would recommend it. If you can get a hold of it, please go ahead and look at it.
Yeah, but another interesting fact is that I think the game is an iOS.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah,
Are you
it's
serious?
right here.
Oh,
Nice. Okay.
well, I know.
Platform is
I'm really-
iOS and Android.
So,
So later go and try and find
Yeah,
it.
you can definitely go download it.
Yeah.
Other things I want to recommend,
Yeah.
a short story called Repent, Harley Quinn said the TikTok man, is depicting a dystopian future which time is strictly planned out. So being late is a crime.
Oh.
And the punishment for being late is time taken off your life.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a very, very interesting story. Another smaller story is called A Boy and His Dog. It's a short story following a teenage loner named Vic as he and his canine companion navigate a dystopian wasteland and discover an underground civilization. If it sounds like I Am Legend, you're right, but it's a lot better.
That was made into a film, right?
Yeah, A Boy and His Dog. I've never seen the film. I've only read a short story. Second last thing I want to recommend is Jeff T is 5. It's a short story about a boy who never ages beyond 5.
Oh, okay.
So the story actually mines a lot of horror and humor from the lack of reason or inquiry into why he remains stuck.
Okay.
And why his radio only picks up programs from when he first turned 5. So there's a nice little twist at the end there, which I won't spoil lah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my favorite of his stories, I'm a Trekkie, Discovery notwithstanding. Ashamedly, I only started watching the original series last year.
Oh, okay.
I started with TNG, obviously.
Everybody, our generation.
Our
Yeah,
generation,
yeah,
because
yeah.
we started watching in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Captain Picard was my first captain.
Same.
Yeah.
And then,
No shame in that.
Yeah, no shame in that. And then Deep Space Nine, and then Voyager, and then the thought of like kind of going back into the original series and its campiness in the
Tiring,
60s, it felt like, I respect it, but at the same time, I don't think I can do it after Deep Space Nine because it's become so sophisticated over the years.
Yeah.
But one of the greatest episodes of the original series is called The City on the Edge of Forever, which Harlan Ellison actually wrote.
Yep.
It's one of the greatest episodes of not just the original series, but of any Star Trek series or movies, to be honest. It's just fantastic. Like it's a time travel story. In the episode, heavily medicated Leonard McCoy travels back in time to change history, and Kirk and Spock follow him to correct the timeline.
Yeah.
In doing so, Kirk falls in love with a character named Edith Keeler, which is guest starred by Joan Collins of all people.
Yeah.
But then realizes that in order to save the future, he must allow her to die.
Yeah.
So it's a very tragic love story, and one of my first introduction to Harlan Ellison. Actually, I wasn't a big, I know of him, but I did not realize how good he was until I saw this episode last year. And then I looked who the screenwriter was, and I was like, let's see what else he's done. I was like, oh shit, he's this sci-fi legend.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Let's move on to Steve Ditko, who
Also another legend.
it's hard to kind of summarize his career because
man.
he's such an instrumental part of the comic book industry.
Especially the Marvel industry. The Marvel universe lah.
The comic book industry is
both-
pretty much the Marvel industry right now.
I know what you mean.
Both Marvel and DC.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you want to build the forefathers, the
The Mount Rushmore.
the Mount Rushmore of comic books, and you got your Stan Lee, you got your Jack Kirby, and Steve Ditko has to be there.
Yeah,
The third
for
one,
sure.
$100%. Let's get the obvious out of the way.
Spider-Man.
Steve Ditko is the co-creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Obviously, everyone knows this. He's an artist who's kind of beloved for his trippy aesthetic, especially in Doctor
Yeah.
Strange. But he's also created Squirrel Girl.
Yes.
Which we also love.
Yeah.
and continues.
I didn't
to
know
be
that.
relevant.
I just found that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but beyond those easily recited facts which everybody knows, this Ditko was also the one who decided that Bruce Banner would be a Jekyll and Hyde type of character. In the Hulk would turn into the Hulk when he was angry or in times of emotional stress.
Yeah.
So it added a nice allegory to the Hulk, because previously he was just the Hulk.
Yeah.
But now he had a story, he had a theme, he had a character behind it. That was entirely Ditko. The Incredible Hulk creators never thought of that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
After leaving Marvel, he alternated work for a horror publisher called Warren's Creepy and Eerie.
Okay.
He wrote anthologies for that. He also worked for Charlton Comics, where he created Blue Beetle,
Yes.
Question, and Captain Atom.
Which gets absorbed into.
Correct.
Yeah.
All three of those characters, 2 decades later, will become the basis for Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' Watchmen. Which I think would not exist without Ditko.
Yes, for sure.
Then he moved on to DC, where he created Creeper, he created Hawk and Dove, which will be on the new Titans TV series, which we'll talk about in a bit. He created so much. Shade the Changeling. He was a huge part of DC Vertigo's imprint, at least in its beginnings in 1991. In 1991, he created Squirrel Girl, which has right now become one of Marvel's biggest breakout hits.
Yes,
Because of the storyline.
how relevant it is.
Actually, especially amongst young readers.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to say anything about Steve Ditko?
I mean, what is there to not say about?
Yeah.
He's everything lah. Like really Mount Rushmore, that guy is the third guy.
Stanley and Jack Kirby get so much credit, but it pains me to see that Steve Ditko is so unknown among comic book casuals.
Yeah.
Because they don't know who Ditko was. When Ditko passed away, it wasn't like this big.
It's not going to be like how Stanley passes away.
When
When he passes away, or when Jack Kirby passed away, it was a big deal. But Steve Ditko is as big as both of them.
Yeah. Well, there's this comparison that he was the J.D. Salinger of comic books, right? Like, never gets interviewed, never gets seen on interviews or anything of the sort.
Yeah.
You don't see him in public appearances and all of that.
Very reclusive. A bit like Alan Moore, actually.
Yes, but a lot less controversial, and his creative output has just been, how grand. Let's just put it that way.
Pioneer lor.
Yeah, and his legacy is something that we are going to enjoy for many years to come.
I agree.
I know it's terrible, but every time somebody mentions J.D. Salinger, I stop thinking of Catch It in the Rye and I start thinking about Hollywood stars and celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out.
Yes.
Because that's his more important creation.
Yes, that's true.
For those of you who don't know, watch BoJack Horseman.
BoJack Horseman.
Please.
It's an inside joke there.
Season 3 is coming out soon.
Coming in August. Oh, that's next month.
Yeah.
Oh, this month.
We'll be covering
This
it.
month.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll be covering that next
We'll be covering that.
What's the genre?
Kind of. We'll see. We'll see.
animation.
If there are like one episode like for example, the underwater episode, which is a bit like Atlanta, Sally Perkins, we can spotlight those episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
Next one is something a bit more personal to me, because I kind of watch him week to week on a show called Collider Heroes. He hosts a show much like this, a geek show,
Podcast.
just talking about the news and discussing stuff that happening in the movies, TV shows, comic books. He's one of the hosts there, but he also created Metapocalypse. Which is an insane cartoon on Adult Swim. He was an animator on Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Space Goes to Coast, The Venture Brothers. One of my favorite things that he ever did was a documentary called The Death of Superman Lives, which is a documentary about the Tim Burton Nicolas Cage Superman movie that never got made. It's a very, very fascinating documentary if you want a little bit of insight into Hollywood production development and what development hell is. You always read these reports about this project's currently stuck in development hell. Jon Schnepp really dives into the production of the Superman Lives. And fun fact, Nicolas Cage was supposed to be Superman. He's actually voicing Superman in Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
He got his part.
Finally.
He finally got it. It's just sad that the director who's been pushing for this never got to see Teen Titans Go, and at least here Nicolas Cage as Superman. But one of the creators that we are going to remember. Next we're going to move on to some highlights on San Diego Comic-Con. SDCC.
Let's go through the good stuff first.
Let's go through the good stuff first. What is something that you would like to highlight?
Star Wars Clone Wars is back.
The Clone Wars is back for a surprise.
Yes.
7th season. Shocking, huh?
No one.
I'm so excited.
No one's not coming, especially with the end of Rebels, right? In the way that Rebels ended.
Yeah, but because this is they're continuing the episodes that they already pre-produced.
Right.
So they just put on the finishing touches.
Right.
So if if you are a Star Wars, the Clone Wars fan, you've already seen these episodes on YouTube or whatever. Like they posted this halfway done episode.
But there is more material.
Yeah, there's going to
They
be more
have
material. Yeah. So those 6 episodes, I think 2 more episodes after that.
Right.
So
okay.
yeah, I'm glad that this is finally happening.
Nice.
I'm just so
That's
happy now.
What are you looking forward to in the Clone Wars?
Well, first of all, the pre-Sith, pre-Revenge of the Sith episodes. I hope to see
The Mandalorian Wars, right?
Yeah, the Mandalorian Wars.
Yeah.
More of that lah.
More of that,
because
yeah.
it's kind of cut short in season 6.
Yes.
Yeah. And not really even season 6, because season 6 like explored other things.
Yeah.
Explored Yoda, explored the other Jedi Masters and all that.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to see, the Mandalorian Wars will be one of them. I would love to see more of Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship post her leaving the Jedi Temple. A bit more of Maul and his consequences of losing the duel to Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
And, that kind of thing lah. So it's really exciting. And also the introduction of the Bad Batch. A bunch of clone troopers who are like commandos and if not even commandos, they're just like defective troopers with certain abilities, that kind of thing. So to see them, because if you have watched those pre-produced episodes, it's very intriguing lah. Very good storylines that have always continued. Because Clone Wars is not filmed episodically.
Yeah.
They time jump a lot, back and forth. So yeah, this continues that trend. So that's one of the biggest highlights I got from SDCC.
So we'll keep going in one round
yours?
with that.
Yeah. My top highlight is Glass.
Yeah!
Right, so let's just dive straight into it. I am super psyched. The trailer looks amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
The color scheme was
Man,
right?
yes, it's pretty mind blowing. I think like ever since we heard rumors that Split was going to be in the same universe, and of course being confirmed with the post-credit scenes, I've been looking forward to this, and the trailer has not disappointed.
I mean, if you haven't seen Split, I'm sorry lah. Like I think everything's in spot for you by now lah.
Yeah, exactly.
The not so much twist, but the revelation in the end is David Dunn exists in the Split universe, and he's destined to fight the Beast, James McAvoy.
He's a soldier villain.
But apparently they're both being manipulated by Samuel L. Jackson, Mr. Glass, who is the titular character and I'm assuming the main character of the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is very, very interesting because it's a villain point of view.
Yep.
And Samuel L. Jackson just has his fingerprints all over all sorts of franchises, superhero franchises. I mean, I can't wait for this
Same.
In terms of SDCC, the trailer for Glass looks more like a superhero show than both Unbreakable and Split.
Yes.
Because
for sure.
Unbreakable was a hidden superhero origin story.
Yes.
Nobody knew what it was until the end.
Until we watched it.
And Split was a hidden supervillain origin story. Nobody knew what it was until the end.
It started as a horror
It was a
thriller kind of thing.
It was presented as a horror thriller. And then you're like, oh fuck, this is actually a supervillain story. And then, oh shit, they're gonna versus. So this is M. Night Shyamalan's Infinity War.
Yeah, basically.
In terms of Comic-Con itself and the presentation, what struck me about the panel was kind of this rehabilitation of M. Night Shyamalan. I remember in 2011, I was watching a stream of the panel for After Earth, which Shyamalan did. And a lot of people don't know that After Earth was done by Shyamalan because
the name was taken off.
Name was taken off because he had such bad rep after The Happening and The Village and stuff like that lah. So during the Comic-Con panel for that, when they showed the uncut trailer, M. Night Shyamalan's name came out, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. And then not people didn't boo because boo implies some sort of hatred. There was just a round of chuckles. People started laughing.
Yes.
So I mean it's sad lah. But when the Glass trailer came out, the uproarious ovation. M. Night has come full circle and he's gone back.
Redemption story, bro.
Yeah, it's a nice redemption story. He's back to the status that he was during the Sixth Sense era. He's finally regarded as this auteur. And what I've always respected about M. Night Shyamalan through the great movies and through the really terrible movies was that he always swung big. He's this uncompromising, fearless kind of creative who always goes for his idea full scale. 100% has to be his idea. And if you look at it from the great movies like Unbreakable, Science is Debatable, Sixth Sense, or his terrible movies like Happening, The Village, stuff like that, right? They all have almost laughable premises. But he always goes for it. And you can only what I appreciate about M. Night is that he's not afraid of failure. He fails big, but he can win big also. What I want for my creators is for people to take big swings. Don't compromise on your vision. If it fails lah. But what if it's great? and that's why I'm not Shyamalan, to me, a guy who never plays safe, and I respect that from my auteurs.
What was the movie he did before Split that was also quite good?
Apparently it's called The Visits. That was his kind of
Comeback, right?
comeback for Blumhouse.
Blumhouse, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Blumhouse famously only gives like very, very small budgets to their creators.
Yeah.
So I mean, he basically just give like M. Night Shyamalan, here's $20, go do a movie. If it's good, then we'll give you a chance.
Yeah.
Glass, it seems to be the combination of his redemption arc.
Yes, well, I better erase my memory of
The Happening?
Avatar.
Oh fuck! I forgot about that.
No, that's one of the things. Like everything he says is true,
Yeah,
but the one thing that he
Avatar
did
was
not swing
unforgivable.
big, yeah,
Unforgivable.
that he didn't swing big for and
Yeah.
totally fucked up was Avatar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
But Glass is definitely one of our highlights for January next year.
Yes, for sure.
Can't wait
And
for
So
that.
how about you? Anything from your side?
I guess I'm going to be talking about Young Justice Outsiders.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, Young Justice is coming back on the DC streaming service. Are you guys excited for Young Justice Outsiders, the third season?
Yes,
Yes.
I am very excited because now it's a time gap, right? They jumped a few years, 5
Correct.
years. if I'm not wrong.
After the Flash's death,
Yeah.
the end of
Right?
season 2. Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
Wally?
Wally?
Wally.
Yeah.
I mean, like the trailer, it was great. It was a great recap, and at the same time, it promised so much more for the coming season, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I am excited. I think Young Justice has been very underrated.
Like it's a very shadow out of nowhere kind of TV series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I mean, like it with very little fanfare,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people have slept on it. So it's been good so far. Very interesting take on, well, the
Sidekicks, lah.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? I feel like in this era of like superhero movies and what the MCU is doing and all of that,
Yeah.
once again, DC Animated Universe is killing it,
Yeah.
and have been for a long, long time.
What did you think? I'm eager to have your take on the Good Omens behind the scenes.
It was fun.
Because you're a big,
I'm a huge Terry Pratchett fan.
the biggest amongst us. So
Yeah.
what do you think of the upcoming series run by Neil Gaiman
Yeah,
himself?
Neil Gaiman himself because who that left?
Who that left?
Who that left?
What?
Who was the guy that
He
left?
has departed Earth.
What are you talking about?
Who was the guy who left?
Who left?
Because Neil Gaiman wasn't the original showrunner, right? There was someone else. who
No,
left.
Neil Gaiman's
Always.
always the original showrunner for this. I think you're thinking about American Gods.
American Gods, Neil Gaiman took over from. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
From
But anyway,
Fuller.
Go Omens. I felt it was a great insight.
Behind the scenes,
Yeah,
the
so
trailer.
exciting.
You have like Michael Sheen,
You got
John
Michael Sheen,
Hamm,
yeah.
you have Francis McDormand as the voice
Who
of God.
is so fucking
You've got
perfect.
Tennant,
Everybody
yeah.
is so perfectly cast.
David Tennant, yeah.
Exactly.
So yay.
Good Omens one of our highlights as well.
Yeah.
I will be remiss if I did not point out the Godzilla trailer, which
Oh,
Godzilla
yes.
King of Monsters looks like everything I wanted Planet of the Monsters to be,
Right? Like-
and more.
Right?
There's Millie Bobby Brown there, doing her
Fine. You know,
which is fine,
Yeah,
yeah,
kind of
perfect.
cashing in on 11 popularity.
Yeah.
But the real star of the show is still Godzilla.
Yep.
Plus, you got King Ghidorah, you got
Yes.
Rodan,
King Ghidorah.
you got Mothra, and
Mothra.
it feels like Toho is just blowing their load on this, because it
Yep.
looks amazing.
I think it's because people are getting sick and tired of not getting that payoff.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know? So like, okay, you know what? Fine, let's give him all the
I
monsters.
think the Gareth Edwards Godzilla was a more introspective, reflective kind of movie, almost a drama.
Yeah.
But as Ken Watanabe said, let them fight.
Exactly.
And this entire movie just looks like a giant let them fight.
Yes, I cannot wait, especially after watching the.
Wait, what is this sequel? Is this a sequel? Is this
It's a
what?
sequel
Yeah,
to
it's
Gareth
a sequel.
Edwards Godzilla.
The
and
one with Ken Watanabe and all
with
that?
Ken Watanabe was in the trailer.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sequel, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a sequel, same universe, and they've got what's the
Yeah.
agency called again?
Monster Inc.
Monarch.
Monarch. That's
Monarch.
right. That's right.
This is also the prequel to King Kong vs Godzilla,
Yes.
which is what they're planning to do subsequently.
Well, this does well. Yeah. Why
Yeah, it's getting a lot of hype. It's my favorite trailer from SDCC
It's great.
because of its musical choice.
Yeah.
There's a sense of like hopefulness and whimsy and cuteness. Like almost like you're welcoming these heroes as the savior of Earth.
Yeah.
These monsters as the savior of Earth, which is I'm probably gonna delve into the same themes as Godzilla, Planet of the Monsters.
No, so that's the thing, right? Okay, like major spoiler alert, but I think most of you aren't gonna watch it anyway. They talk about Ghidorah in the post-credit scenes,
Okay.
right? And
Good for Ghidorah.
that seems like that's what they're gonna do for the part
The
3.
next one, okay.
You know, but I think Godzilla 2 is definitely. I mean, it's
Okay.
way more because we're getting more monsters.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just Ghidorah.
It's
We've got
Mothra,
Mothra and everything.
other
Rodan, yeah.
Rodan,
Rodan.
yes.
Right? So we're getting a lot more for the movie than we are for this series that's just dragging its fucking
Okay.
feet.
Yeah. Like a few more quick points or notable highlights I wanted to point out.
Aquaman.
Yeah, the DC trailers. Aquaman looks like an underwater Wakanda, basically. The trailer is almost shot for shot a recreation of the Black Panther trailer.
A bit lah.
It's weird, but at the same time, it still looks bright and fun, which is what I want from my DC.
It's Jason Momoa lah. Here's that.
Yeah.
Here's a swag.
It is really. I really did like that. I really like that.
Yeah, I just want one scene where Jason Momoa goes up to like a fish and then just like goes, "Merman,
Mermaid.
merman."
But then
Yeah.
there was another thing. The Manta Ray, Black Manta.
Yeah.
Black Manta's costume looked dope.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was
and it's very
impressed.
comics accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I thought like, oh no, they're gonna like ruin this. Like, no,
Yeah.
really, is that Bubba's head with the two laser eyes,
Amazing.
just like in Young Justice.
It looks great. I mean, I do make fun of Jason Momoa's Aquaman just because he sounds like an underwater Little John lah.
Yeah.
But you know, whatever.
Whatever.
I thought Shazam looked really fun as well.
Yeah, Shazam.
Shazam looked good.
It's supposed to capture the whimsy of a child becoming a superhero lah.
Yeah.
The big
Basically a superpowered version of Big, and it looks exactly like that.
and Zachary Levi.
Zachary Levi.
Levi.
Perfect casting, right?
He look. I mean,
I did not think it was when they announced it.
Exactly.
But now with this trailer,
With this trailer,
I'm sold.
I wasn't sold the first time I heard Zachary Levi. What? Shazam?
Yeah.
What? That didn't make sense. But now it does.
But he's bulked up a lot.
He did.
He looks apart.
And they peddled it a bit lah.
Zachary Levi, I mean, from his time at Chuck, he's always looked like a giant grown child.
Yeah, yeah.
The way he acts, his facial mannerisms. So it makes sense that they will cast him for a child.
No.
Essentially, to play a character
Correct.
of a child.
It's just that I didn't think they would buff him that big lah.
Yeah.
But they did lah.
Okay, what I'm curious about is how is that going to work
Excuse me.
tonally with The Rock's Black Adam?
Cannot. It will be very, because Black Adam's always this old wizened piece of shit
Yeah.
character.
I still think that, I mean, it should have been John Cena instead of just Zachary Levi, so we could have seen John Cena
John
versus The
Cena.
Rock.
Yeah.
But wasted opportunity. But Zachary Levi is fine.
Yeah,
the movie itself looks totally appropriate.
Yeah.
And Aquaman and Shazam, and apparently they didn't show Wonder Woman footage to us, but
Yeah.
apparently from
That
what
was,
I've heard, it looks very fun and playful as well. So DC is going very going the opposite route, course correcting.
Yeah.
And with Shazam in particular, it's actually very appropriate because Shazam should have that tone.
Yep.
It was the original Captain Marvel, so I forgive them for going the Marvel route with that one.
No, yeah, for sure.
I wanted also to point out the Halloween panel which I caught. They did not show a new trailer, but I saw that what's the name?
Oh wait, when she comforts
Jamie Lee Curtis is who I was thinking of. Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing. For those of you who don't know, this particular Halloween takes place right after the first Halloween. It is taking all of those terrible sequels out of canon, which is what John Carpenter wanted. John Carpenter is returning to score this. David Gordon Green is directing this. The trailer, which was released a few months ago, looks amazing. In particular, this panel, I saw Jamie Lee Curtis actually look excited for Halloween. Like, I mean, all the actors kind of try to get through all these panels the best way they can, because it's just a long part of their media tour. But Jamie Lee Curtis looks legitimately psyched. Like, I've never seen her so happy to be part of this particular Halloween. And it just gives me good vibes as to how good this movie is gonna be. There's this particular moment where, a surprisingly emotional moment actually from the Halloween panel where a man came up to ask a fan question during the Q&A.
Yeah.
And he basically said that Jamie Lee Curtis saved his life.
Yep.
Jamie Lee Curtis, her performance in Halloween, because he was a victim of a home invasion. And then he was a big fan of Halloween back in the day. And he just did what Jamie Lee Curtis would do. And he kept thinking, what would Jamie Lee Curtis do in Halloween? And because of that, he was able to survive the night. So there was this like very nice moment where Jamie Lee Curtis just left the podium and went to hug him. It was one of the best moments from SDCC for me.
Okay.
Also, I'll be remiss if I didn't talk about actual comic books.
Yeah, what's up?
Because San Diego Comic Con has become Trailer Fest.
Yeah.
But a lot of people forget that
It started as a comic book fest lah.
yeah, it's
In the name.
it's a comic book convention. And as with every year, they present the Eisner Awards
Yeah.
at San Diego Comic Con.
Who won?
And this year's Eisner Awards was pretty much dominated by monstrous Image Comics' breakout hits of last year.
Okay.
Marjorie Liu and Monstrous won 5 different awards. Marjorie Liu became the first female to win Best Writer.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
First female.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of you guys don't know, Marjorie Liu was actually in town last year for Singapore's Writers Festival 2017. She did a little workshop, which I wanted to attend but it was sold out.
very quickly.
Yeah, it was sold out very
quickly.
quickly. But Marjorie Liu is an inspiration, and if you haven't read Monstrous is great. It won Best Comic Book, at least ongoing. And for Best Writer, it was one of the first. I don't know whether it was first time, but it very rarely happens. There were 2 winners for Best Writer. They shared the award. Marjorie Liu shared it with Tom King, who we all know is amazing. Like, we've talked about Tom King ad nauseum on this particular podcast.
Yeah.
In particular, he won for Miracle Man and his work on Batman vs. Elmo Fudd.
Yes.
That's fantastic stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah. And also, the last thing I wanted to point out from the Eisners, a lady by the name of Jackie Orms, who is the first African American woman cartoonist and creator of the Torchy Brown comic strip. So she's basically the first African American comic book writer to have an ongoing comic strip called Dixie to Harlem in 1937. She was inducted into the Eisner Awards Hall of Fame, and that's fantastic stuff. Either other things from the world of comics I would like to point out is there's news that Chelsea Kane is taking over Vision.
Yes.
For a new 6-part miniseries, which would be great.
Very excited.
There's a new Shuri series because of the popularity from Black Panther to be written by a Nigerian author by Nnedi Okorafor. Brian Michael Bendis has left Jessica Jones recently, and Jessica Jones will be relaunched with a new creative team helmed by writer Kelly Thompson.
Yes.
I'm actually really enjoying Kelly Thompson's work right now in Nancy Drew, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
That's the stuff for comics. And since I talked about Steven Universe earlier, there will be a big crossover event on the Cartoon Network called the Crossover Nexus that will combine characters from the entire stable of shows. So in the promotional image released, it's going to be OKKO from OKKO. It should be joined by Ravens from Teen Titans Go, Ben from Ben 10, and Garnet from Steven Universe. And apparently there'll be a lot more, but that's just the image that I got, and that's very exciting to me. 2 other small things I want to point out. There was a Good Place activation where NBC actually recreated the actual Good Place from the show, and where people could visit, and I thought that was one of the things that I wish that I was at Comic Con this year.
Yeah.
And another thing I really wanted to point out was it was the 25th anniversary of Demolition Man.
Oh shit!
Oh, and they did the Taco Bell.
And to celebrate,
The Taco Bell.
they created the Taco Bell of the future from the Demolition Man.
Nice.
With the seashells in the toilet.
With the 3 seashells in the toilet. It's hilarious, and one of those things that I wanted to go to. And it's amazing how much news can come out from SDCC if you consider the fact that MCU wasn't there this year. Which is usually the big heavy hitter. Game of Thrones wasn't there this year. Stranger Things wasn't there this year. A lot of big things went there this year.
But that's fine. I mean, it highlights the rest of the playing field.
Oh, plenty of other stuff.
I mean,
DC finally has
DC
a
would
lot of
never
time.
DC would never get the attention that they got this year if not.
MCU was there.
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah. And that's about it for this particular episode. But still, since we have a bit of time left, I would like to introduce a small segment. Like sometimes, if we have a bit of time left, I'm going to introduce a segment called Tie-In Issues, where we talk about the issues surrounding our favorite genre properties.
Go ahead, man.
What do you guys think about James Gunn?
Oh my god. Okay, so this whole Twitter thing that happened, right?
Yeah.
First of all, you read the tweets.
Yeah, they were from 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's not really okay. Like, it was really bad humor. It was not.
It was
funny,
terrible.
It was terrible. It was tasteless.
Indefensible, but they were jokes.
They were jokes, and it was not. It was 10 years ago. The guy has changed. You can think of you 10 years ago from now. How ridiculous you were.
Yeah. Or how much think of me 2 years ago. How much I've grown.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that it's. I felt that it was a over reaction by Disney, but
I feel like Disney backed themselves into a corner when they fired Roseanne over it.
Yes, correct.
And they could not seem hypocritical for firing
a guy.
Not
firing a man somehow.
Oh, and a liberal. Because
they
fired a conservative.
Yeah.
So if a liberal did that, so that's okay.
Yeah.
So they kind of painted themselves to the corner.
Yeah. And that's the thing about this kind of like firings, when you keep firing people.
But it's also a very arbitrary sense of punishment.
Correct.
For those of you who don't know the context, an alt-right troll who I won't even mention the name.
Fuck him,
but he's kind of the guy who propagated Pizzagate.
Pizzagate, yeah.
He manipulated Disney into firing James Gunn because of a petty beef. nothing was unearthed here because Gunn's tweets were already quite well known.
Yeah.
6 years ago, before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, the tweets were already unearthed by Glad. He had a nice conversation with Glad where he apologized for those tweets, said that he has grown as a person. I'm continuing to change as a person. And what I was 4 years ago, at that point was 4 years ago. It's not who I am now, and he has grown a lot more since.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't know that he used to work for Troma, which is an exploitation studio. Their business model is making exploitation films, which are like, in bad taste. A lot of it's about rape and stuff like that. So he was just kind of in that zone at a particular moment when he was writing those tweets. He's since apologized, he's changed, and there's a big difference between an active person who is unapologetic like Roseanne, who is still making those comments.
She's still saying that it's ambient that's causing her to do that.
Rather than James Gunn, who already took responsibility for it many years ago. And keeps being open and honest about how he was bad, he's changed, I'm trying to grow as a person. And if you're genuine and you're reflective, and if a human being isn't allowed to learn and change and grow, then what's the point of being alive,
And also, the Roseanne comparison is interesting because Roseanne's tweets were the day off, the night before,
exactly.
While James Gunn's 10 years ago, a decade ago, and it's just as annoying because this outright piece of shit that just came out of the woodwork, started to just it's a masterclass of how to troll effectively,
how to manipulate liberal outrage in this day and age.
And it happened.
He also went after Dan Harmon, unearthing a baby rape doll video that he did.
But that was out of context.
That's out of context as well. And Dan Harmon wasn't fired. Adult Swim back to model.
But Adult Swim is a very different company than Disney.
Disney, of course. Surprisingly, most of the reaction has been pro James Gunn.
Definitely.
Because I bet they thought that liberal outrage should be easy to manipulate and everybody will be anti-James Gunn right now. But there's a petition going on to get James Gunn rehired, and I don't think James Gunn will have any problem finding work.
No, I don't think
because
so.
Nobody really sees him as the bad guy in this situation.
No, it was a fucking troll.
Exactly. If Disney wants to take a stance about firing people about comments, Roseanne included, then why are unapologetic people like John Lasseter and Johnny Depp still around, despite their very real life crimes where they hurt people in real life? John Lasseter sexually harassed people and touched people inappropriately. Johnny Depp has beaten up cameramen, beat up his wife.
His wife, ex-wife,
who's also in Aquaman.
Amber Heard.
Oh my god, the WB panel, by the way, must have been so awkward because they presented Fantastic Beasts right before Aquaman. Wow. And Johnny Depp had a big speech in character as Grindelwald.
Never mind.
That must have been really awkward. How did they maneuver past that,
Just keep them apart now.
But
I don't believe that James Gunn should be fired. I hope they reinstate him.
It's
a problematic overreaction
when a big company like Disney decides to take a moral stance, right? And of course, Disney should be the last people. I mean, tasteless, racist, sexist.
They started it, man.
But Disney likes to say that they have grown and changed as a company.
Exactly.
There we go. You see, and that's the problem. We have changed and we have grown. Therefore, we must fire Roseanne. But we have changed as we have grown.
Therefore, we must fire James Gunn. No what?
Right. So it's a huge thing that is a lot more complicated than it seemed. I do feel that you can't.
No, even I felt that Roseanne's firing was a bit harsh also.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think people should be fired over tweets, to be honest.
I mean, like that, you should fire the president of the United States.
Let's not go there.
No, I mean, what about guys like Johnny Depp who actually hurt people?
Yeah, I know, the real life consequences
actually hurt people.
Was different, right?
Yeah.
I agree. The whole idea of the First Amendment in America and all that is such a big deal about freedom of speech and all that. These sort of things should fall in that.
But on the other side of the coin, also freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequence.
Correct.
You're allowed to say it, but then other people can react to it as well.
But this is just an overreaction.
But it's not even about, okay, they sell it as a moral consequence, right? About the name, but it's all about brand.
True.
And they have to keep to the brand.
Rape jokes not good.
Even
though it was 10 years ago.
Pedophilia jokes, actually. It was child rape jokes. Not just rape jokes. It was child rape jokes, which, I did read the tweets.
Tasteless.
They were very tasteless, they were quite offensive.
They were.
I get it, but I still think it's an overreaction. At the end of the day, also, to be honest, from a personal point of view, I really wanted James Gunn off Guardians of the Galaxy. Not for any of these reasons, but just because I felt GOTG2, he was just doing the same thing.
Exactly.
And he needed a fresh voice.
That's fine.
But this is not the way I wanted it to happen.
Correct.
Apparently James Gunn had already written the script for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I hope that they keep the script at least.
Yeah.
Maybe get Taika Waititi on it or something. Because
That would
I feel like
be-
his tone,
His voice will be good.
his tone it meshes well with Guardians of the Galaxy. lah.
Yeah,
That might be where they go.
Yeah. Last thing, like I kind of want to mention for myself is the Buffy reboot.
Oh, yes, we talked about that.
Well, we will.
Well, it's not a reboot.
No, well, okay. Initially, the news report was that Buffy will be rebooted with an emphasis on diversity.
Yeah.
They will be recasting Buffy as a black
Lady.
lady, played by a black actress.
Yep.
Its showrunner is it's a black woman herself who has written with Joss Whedon on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., on Alias and Fringe as well. So she's more than capable.
More than qualified, yeah.
I have nothing against the showrunner. I have nothing against whoever the black actress will be, who's
Correct.
going to play Buffy.
Yeah.
But at that point, I just thought that this was a huge misstep because number one, okay, like stop rebooting things.
Exactly.
There's just a small thing because the new show will forever be held to impossibly high standards.
Correct.
And you can never win against the original Buffy.
Very hard to.
You just can't ever do that lah. And number two, the black whoever is cast as the new Black Buffy, right?
It's just going to be like,
It's gonna be
diversity
Black
higher.
Buffy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
not only would they call her diversity hire, she'll forever be known as the Black Buffy lah.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's unfair to her. It's unfair to the new showrunner who's trying to do a new show. But it's just going to be like, oh, this is just a copy of Buffy, or this is the diversity Buffy.
And people will dismiss it as that lah.
Yeah. So I feel like African American or black stories deserve their own stories lah, and they don't need like hand-me-downs from like white franchises.
I agree.
That was the major issue besides the whole legacy thing lah. But okay, they have kind of subverted that or course corrected, or I don't know whether it's a course correction or whether it was
Or
a mistake.
misreporting.
Which it could have easily been.
Yeah.
Yep.
A misunderstanding of the word reboot, at least from the publicists lah.
Yeah.
Because they have clarified that it's not strictly a reboot but a relaunch, focusing on the next generation Slayer after Buffy.
Yeah.
Although technically it's after Faith lah, because Faith comes after
Faith
Buffy.
is Buffy.
Yeah.
So that might be it.
Yeah,
It
that
might be
might be
after
it.
Faith.
Yeah, correct. So if it does focus on a new Slayer, it's not Buffy recasted as a black person.
That's a change. It changed the
It
narrative
totally changes it, and I'm suddenly back on board with this lah.
Yeah. Same. So I hope that it is that lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am going to give the Buffy reboot a chance, obviously, considering that it's a sequel.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon is still executive producing, although he won't be day-to-day show running, because he's very busy with other stuff. He has a new show on HBO called The Nevers going on right now.
Should be fun.
Yeah, he's writing a new comic book about Dr. Horrible, which is
Should be
his musical online back in the day. I have hopes for this lah.
Me too.
This isn't like a Charmed reboot where I legitimately don't give a shit lah about Charmed.
Didn't even know until you told me that on Facebook.
Yeah, the Charmed reboot. I mean, Charmed at
It
first.
pales in comparison to Buffy.
I mean, it was
I'm
never good in the first place.
Yeah.
And the people who are calling the Charmed reboot trailer that it looks like cheesy and campy, I'm like,
It
but
is.
that's what
But
Charmed
yeah,
is, what?
Charmed
Always
is
has
easy.
been.
It is as true to the original Charmed as it can be because it's so cheesy and campy.
Wait, I'm not trying to. I'm a Charm fan, by the way.
Yeah. And one of my issues with the Charmed reboot was that they're branding this as the feminist Charmed, as if to imply that the original Charmed wasn't feminist.
Okay.
Like the show about 3 women was not feminist, really?
Was saving the world countless times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which Buffy was actually.
Mm-hmm.
Big Buffy fan. You should watch the original series.
In conclusion,
In conclusion, and then go watch Angel and Firefly and other stuff that Joss has done. I know Joss has gotten a bad rap recently because of an affair that he had. But we've come to a point where we have to forgive people because at least he didn't abuse anyone.
yeah.
I mean, try to separate the art from the work.
It's
the art from the artist.
no, but I mean Joss in particular it's a bit more of a blurry grey line. I feel
I mean, it's a fair lah.
it's an
not
affair.
good, but
It's a consensual sexual thing.
exactly, it's
Yeah.
consensual.
As opposed to
With another adult.
Yeah.
Have to mention that as well because it's not a Woody Allen situation. It's just that he cheated on his wife.
Yeah, which is bad. We don't condone it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he did not like rape anyone. Wow, that's the standard right, that we hold people to.
I
Yes.
know. That's the day that we're in lah.
Oh boy. We'll be back next month, as usual, on the first of every month with the 9th episode of Genre Equality. Hardy and Isa will finally get chopped on Counterpart.
Yes.
The first season of Cloak and Dagger will be wrapping up soon, so we'll be
doing that.
covering that as well.
Yep.
We'll be talking about the 3rd season of Preacher,
We'll be doing that.
which I don't know about. I mean, quality-wise lah, but
Yeah.
we'll definitely be talking about
Yep.
that. We'll be talking about Final Space, which is a new
Yes.
animation on Netflix.
Dope.
Excellent.
And Taika Waititi has a new TV show out called Wellington Paranormal.
Haven't
Yeah.
started
which
on it.
follows
It's the continuation.
which is a spin-off of What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It follows the police department. It's
Yeah.
almost an X-Files like show.
Alright.
But it has it's like cops. It's the X-Files in New Zealand.
I cannot. It's gonna be funny.
Yeah, it's gonna be really funny. And for quick hits, I'm probably gonna dive into the Darkest Minds, the new X-Men. No, I'm kidding. It looks a lot like the X-Men. I'll be talking about the first Purge as well, which is a prequel to the Purge.
Oh, I want to talk about that.
It's probably gonna be very politically heavy.
Yep.
And Matt Groening's new show called Disenchantment.
Oh, I'm
Definitely.
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up next month. Tune in then. Till then, it's been Hitzer.
Hardy.
And Isa.
Goodbye.
Bye.